Welcome back to TMR now. I'm Chris and I have for you a Wunda Chair series more suitable for our experienced clients. But this will definitely be a series that gets you moving your body in all directions. It'll be invigorating, it'll be fun, it'll be exciting. All right, let's get started. I'm actually going to start, so I have just a couple of pads for my knees because we'll start in a kneeling position. And this will just be a stretch to open up the front of the hip. So, very simply, think about reaching that back heel backwards and then bringing the hips forward. That should already encourage a bit of a stretch. Hands onto the pedal, breathe in, and then breathe out. You're going to press down. The pedal doesn't need to move really, but you're going to pull your waist back as you draw your hips forward to deepen the curve. And then come back up. I'm going to move this back a little bit. And then let's repeat. So, hips already forward and open. And then you pull your waist back to deepen the curve. And then back up. And again. Don't know if you can hear the thunder behind me. We're having an interesting day in Melbourne. And let's just do two more. So if you're thinking about an evenly distributed curve between the base of the skull and the tail, but definitely more focused on opening the lower back to provide the opening of the hip. And let's just do 6 on this side. So the heel reaches back and the hips forward to fire up the back of the leg. And then you curve and then come up. And 5. I just noticed his hip was hiking up, so drop the seat of the front leg down. And 2. And 1. So keeping the hip forward, pull the waist back. Okay. And then I've got spring set up, 1 top, 1 bottom spring for the seated leg press. And then we're going to go heels together, toes apart, arches, and then the heel position. But let's begin, rather than going straight into flat back, let's go into the round back version. So you're going to pull the pedal up as high as possible, knees in line with your shoulders. So think reminiscent to like rolling like a ball. How high can you pull that pedal up and create that lift of your ribs out of your hips so that the spine isn't slumped, that we're working already from here. All right, with that in mind, you breathe in to push the pedal down. Exhale, lift it up. Think about finding lift in the trunk as the pedal comes down, and then you push down into the pedal as it comes up. Breathe in, push down. Exhale, lift. So we're working in a way that's kind of like stomach massage in the reformer. I think that's about 10. And then arches. Glue the legs together. Breathe in, push down. Exhale, lift. Find the lift as the pedal comes down. Press down into the pedal as it comes up. And we are working to try to bring the pedal up as high as possible up to the stopper. The work is really on the up. Last one. Heels. Let's go. All right. Find the lift of the pedal first. Find the lift of the spine and then push down. Find more lift. Press down into the pedal as it comes up. You can even place your hands onto the base of the skull And like your neck pull, you're pressing your neck backwards and up. Try to fill up your back body into your shirt, your jumper, whatever you're wearing. Broaden this as much as you can with every pump. Fantastic. Let's go into flat back. So spine's now upright. And then just roll back and forward on your sit bones. Just a couple of times until you find yourself right in the center of the sit bones. And feel them broad, but anchored. You breathe in, push down, and exhale, lift. Same idea as before. You find lift on the down, you push down on the lift. And you can even feel, I might even, if you want to join me on this adventure, you can place your hands in the front of your hip joint. And you can get the sense that as the pedal comes up, that your hip joint becomes really like soft, malleable, so that that hip crease can fold deeper to pull the pedal up as high as possible. And once more. Go into the arches and then continue. I'm going to keep my hands here because it's giving a lot of information. Breathe in, push down, and exhale, lift. Find the lift. And then push down as the pedal comes up. Once more. And then heels. So you can now place your hands in front, behind the head. Let's go. I'm going to place the hands behind the head. So you can even just imagine that your hands are still at your hip joint. So particularly as the pedal comes up, there's a narrowing of the front of the pelvis and a broadening of the back of the pelvis. Once more. Very good. Step off. We're going into tendon stretch. I'm going to use the pads just for my slippery hands. So one foot down, and then the other foot right next to it in the heels together, toes apart position. And then let's just start. Think about lifting up through your upper inner thighs. Sit bones down towards the heels and back lower ribs puffing up. Collarbones over your wrists and maintain that as the heels lower and then the heels lift. 2, 3. Down, 2, 3, and up, 2, 3. Think about your sit bones following your heels as they lower, and then your pubic bone lifts up, and then the heels follow. So that with each repetition, there's a deepening of your C curve between the head and the tail. Can you now ragdoll your head a little bit more? And feel the weightedness of your head. Open up your mid-back. Once more. Very good. Stepping off. Okay, so we're now going to take one bottom spring out, so we'll be on one top spring. That being said, we are doing standing leg press. So if you like that a little bit heavier, you can actually go on 2 bottom springs, which I may actually do instead. Okay, so when you're ready, let's have like 1 foot away from the base of the chair. Pull your right knee in towards the chest and then place on top of the chair. Pull it in and hold here. Get the sense of pressing or pulling the pedal backwards towards you to wake up the back of that right leg and then bring it up. Hands can be behind the head. press the neck into the hands, push the pedal down, find the lift, and then resist into the springs as the pedal comes up. Breathe in to push down and exhale to come up, or reverse the breath if that feels better for you. Good. Just do 2 more and feel like as the pedal comes in, does it help is if you feel like the legs are coming together. Maybe that helps you wake up the standing leg as much as the pedal leg. And lift. Very good. Other side. Press down. Set up the body here. You push down and find the lift. And then push down into the pedal as it comes up. Or rather, think again about pulling in. I think that works a little bit better. To find the connection of the back line. So as the pedal comes in, you're gluing the legs closer to one another, and then you're resisting it on the up. Once more. Perfect. We'll do the same thing, but on the side. So, starting the heels together, toes apart position. Right leg up. Find the pedal. You push down. Now, optimal position for this is if you were to bring your heels together, toes apart. So I'm going to lift this leg up, and so then that's when they're going to meet. And then if you lower this heel down, now we'll stagger bend. So now you're in the right position. The pedal lifts, and then push it down. And you're resisting going that way with the pedal. And you can think about dropping this hip down, but I want you to think about your standing leg. So almost think as the pedal comes up that you're lifting here more by pressing down deeper into the floor. One more. And lift. Good. Other side. So I'm going to be turning away from the camera for a little bit, but that will be just a momentary thing. And so back heel lifts. You find the optimal position for your standing leg. Energize the body from the crown of the head all the way to the standing foot. And really think about working that standing foot as the pedal comes up to facilitate that further lift. And you may find that with a greater lift, that left side has more ability to fold and move, or be more mobile, I guess. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to do pigeon from here. And bring the chair forward a little bit. Right leg's going to go on top. And just moderate this as need be for you. So first of all, have your feet, this foot flexed. So toes towards the knee. Back hip forward, and then the front hip back and down. Reach the arms up to the ceiling, and then curl up over and forward. Press the pedal down. Keep the waist lifted away from that front thigh. And then we're going to lift up into extension. Press down in extension. Curl up in flexion. Breathe in and breathe out. Let's do one more. Bring it all the way up. Change sides. Okay, so front hip back and down, back hip forward and up, and then dive forward. What I should also have said on the other side is there's also the option of not moving. So this may be enough of a stretch today, or maybe just trying to lean a little bit forward so that you can just focus on getting that stretch through that hip. So that may be enough. Though if you want to join me in the spinal juiciness, let's go for that. And lift, press down in extension, and then curl. Bring the pedal all the way up. And then we're going to change the springs. So let's go to one middle spring. And then let's go into mermaid. So we're going to go into the variation that kind of feels like almost like a side lift. So the heel is going to press into the chair to wake up the back of the legs. That may give you a little bit more lift. Right arm up to the ceiling. And then you're going to reach up through here so much that maybe that introduces that left arm coming closer to the pedal. And then keep going in that way. So there's this push and pull. And then you're going to do that so much that eventually the heel of the hand finds the pedal. And then you push it down at side bend. And then draw it up. Glue the legs together. I'm saying that to myself because I saw them separate on the first go. And how far can you reach the fingertips away from that outside hip? Anchoring down into the chair and then bringing it up. Once more. Stay here on the last one. And you can get the sense of keeping the pedal still, but pulling it energetically in towards you, and then try to curl the ribs up and over it like a rainbow. And then come back up. Okay, counter stretch to the other side. Good, turn around. All right, heels drawing in, legs glued together. Reach, left arm up, right arm reaching down. So already that push and pull of the opposition of the arms starts the side bend. And then it finds, the heel of the hand finds the pedal. And then you take it over. And then come back up. So work productively to use the foundation of your legs to help to ground that outer hip down. So that you can maximize the opening of the whole side of the body. Once more, lift up. And then pull without moving the pedal, pull it in, and then curl the ribs just a little bit more up and over. And then come back up. Kind of stretch. Let's take it swan. So, hands here around the middle of the chair. You bring your hips forward. And then find the pedal. I'm just going to move the microphone for a second. Whoop. Okay. So when you're ready, think about reaching your legs backwards. And rather than lifting, we'll play with this. If you were to reach the legs out and up, maybe that just takes the spine into a bit of compression. what we're looking for is productive length. So reach them back and almost think there's a back and slight down action. And then with your hands onto the pedal, you're pressing the hands down and bringing the chest forward and up, even before the pedal lifts. And then work into that push-pull of the chest forward and up and the legs back and down. Do that so much that maybe the pedal starts to lift. And then think about the back of the head reaching to the tail and then elongating the chest forward as the pedal comes down. And then again. And then chest forward and forward and forward and down. Good. Twice more. And one. So you can let your eyes lead the movement forward, up, and then laying the spine down. Okay. Step off. Give me a moment. Okay. Let's now go back to one top, one bottom spring. So we have pull-ups and then going up front to finish. So into one top, one bottom spring, left foot down, and then the right leg meets the left. All right, so when you're ready, you're gonna find that same elephant shape that you did earlier with tendon stretch. So sit bones down, pubic bone up. And then keep curling your spine from both ends so much that maybe the pedal gets a little bit lighter. The challenge is to do that without shifting your shoulders forward too much. All right, and then eventually the pedal lifts, and then you let the head drop down. And then the sit bones go down towards the pedal to lower, and then lift. Once more. Very good. Stepping off, going up front to finish. I'll bring these aside. So start left knee towards the chest, push the pedal down, and then the right foot goes onto the platform. So bring the pedal up a little bit so that the waist stays away from the thigh, and get the sense of pressing in through the hands to wake up the back of the arms. And then 8 times. Stay in the shape and focus on the lift of the pedal. And each time the pedal lifts, that the lower back deepens in its curve. Either staying here or slowly pumping and going up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Staying here for 8. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Lift the pedal up. And then other side. Right foot, left leg up. Lift the pedal up a little bit. And then let's go. Deepening the curve of your spine, particularly at each time the pedal lifts. And then walking up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Bring the pedal up safely. And that is our class for today. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you soon.